everybody, and welcome back to the latest edition of the Goosed Podcast. We have done a lot of S's in this series. We've gone from space and satellites to sex tech, and now we're going to talk about sustainability. And with me today is Padraig Power, the marketing manager of Ireland and their new international markets of refurbed.ie, where they sell refurbed products, phones, laptops, and basically all consumer electronics. Padraig, lovely to have you. Would you like to introduce yourself and intro what refurbed is?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Emil, for having me on, John. Unfortunately, it probably won't be as interesting as sex tech. But with regards to Refurbed, we are an online marketplace. We sell refurbished electronics. So, as you mentioned, everything from smartphones to laptops, tablets, even e-bikes. We recently branched into. So, how we work is it's all online, and the kind of premise behind us is that it's the circular economy. It's products that were once used but have been refurbished, therefore are also a lot cheaper than new. And we're trying to kind of spread the refurbished tech movement around Europe, which is why we recently launched some more markets, and we're actually in 11 countries across Europe now at the minute.
That's amazing. Circular economy. This is obviously a word that comes up a lot, and the refurb movement. So I know we've obviously spoken to other refurb brands before. You do a lot more than just phones. So what exactly is a refurb? Just so that people understand what a refurb is. It's not secondhand per se.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So a lot of people have this kind of association or think in their mind, oh, that secondhand it's used before, it's just a used phone or a used laptop. But actually, the difference between secondhand and refurbished is that when a device is refurbished, it goes through a full refurbishment process with Refurbed. All of our refurbishers are certified refurbishers, and within the process, there's many areas. So data erasure, device testing, individual component testing, replacement of any components with original parts if needs be, also buffering the device. So that's a quick view off the top of my head, but
Yeah.
there's a full refurbishment process, and then at the end the device works just like new. And then just to make sure that the customers really have the confidence in that, with Refurbed, what we do is we also give a free 12-month warranty as minimum, and outside of that we also have a free 30-day trial, so customers can buy a device, test it out, just see if they even like the device themselves.
Mm.
So it's the difference is, I suppose, that you're really making sure that you have the quality and that you know that you're covered as a consumer when you're buying refurbished tech as opposed to secondhand.
Yeah, I think that's kind of like it's such a fear factor for people. Like they assume it's like me selling a phone on done deal. It's like it's not that. Like if the charging port is a bit mangled, that gets reworked. If the screen is scratched and knocked up, that gets repaired. Essentially, you're buying something. The idea of refurb is that it's brought back up to new standard, but it's a pre-loved phone or pre-loved laptop. I prefer using that.
Exactly. Yeah, pre-loved. I like that term as well. That's a good one.
You can keep that one. What was I going to say? So about refurbed.ie, obviously you were mentioning kind of before we got on about you've moved into international markets. So I suppose it'd be really kind of good to know where you got started and how you've gotten to this point where we're now expanding it abroad and into what did you say 11 different countries?
Yeah. So it's a long story, but I'll try and make it short.
Right, we have
But
time.
Perfect. Sounds good. But yeah, so Refurbed was founded in 2017, and actually the first country that Refurb launched in was Austria. So launched in Austria and Germany originally because our founders are Austrian, they're from Vienna. And the kind of premise behind Refurbed was one of our founders, Peter, excuse me, he is very into sustainability, very into the circular economy, and is trying to be a good consumer. And he actually bought a second-hand phone. And what happened? But he had it for about 2 days, and it just didn't work.
Yeah.
And then when he tried to get a warranty on it, tried to claim, he had no rights because it was second-hand. And he was like, "Okay, here I am trying to do something good, and I end up being bitten for it." So he wanted to figure out how people could do something active for the environment but know that they're covered, and that's where the kind of conception of Refurbed began.
Mm.
And then he reached out to two colleagues within his network. They essentially founded Refurbed and launched in the DACH region, and then just I believe 2 or 3 years later moved into some new markets, one of which included Ireland. So Ireland and Italy were next on the map, and
Nice.
since then we've expanded across. So that's four. So we've expanded into another 7 markets since then, four of which just launched. And I suppose we also went from phones primarily at the start, phones and laptops at the very start, to now having a huge array of devices that you'd use in your day-to-day life.
Yeah, like I actually have the site open in front of me. Like the range is mental that you cover. It's phones, tablets, laptops, smartwatches, monitors, audio equipment, smart bikes, the e-bikes, kitchenware. Like,
Kitchenware, yeah, that was a very random one. Like it's quite niche, but
yeah,
at the same time, I mean, it's really nice. You can get a refurbished Thermomix, for example, and save yourself a few hundred quid, and happy days. You're getting something, particularly for kitchenware, that's probably in a drawer half the time anyway. So why would you not save on it and get something that you know you can use just as well, but you're getting that bit of extra value for your money.
yeah. I've always said that for me, there's two primary markets that have always stood out when it comes to refurb phones. And like back in the day when I worked at Carphone, we obviously had some refurb products at the time, mainly iPhones. But I always said that there was two primary markets. It was parents of young kids who don't want to spend €1,000 on a new iPhone, but the kid has to have an iPhone. It's one of those things. And then companies who buy multiple phones, but it's normally something that someone only has on a couple of hours a day and it's there for email. So again, why are you bothering? Get a SIM only contract and buy, a preload phone. Same with laptops and things like this. I mean, what do you find yourselves in terms of your own customer base? Is it like very much because you have such a big range, it's very blended, or do you see kind of any particular trends?
Yeah, it's a really good question. You hit on some different points actually. So, firstly, would be a lot of the phones, particularly phones and laptops that would come into refurb circulation, would be from businesses like you just mentioned, where they buy new devices, they give them to their staff. Their staff use them for, I don't know, a few hours a week, and they have them for 1 year, and then they're gone. And before, they used to be just chucked out, whereas now they're saved and they're refurbished. So that's actually where a lot of our supply would come from. But then when it comes to end users, it really is a big mix. But we do see a lot of parents who are buying tech for their kids. And for example, even my uncle, he has some young kids and he's bought refurb tech, and what he loves is that we've three aesthetic grades, so all of the devices work exactly like a new phone,
Mm,
but we have excellent, very good, and good. Basically, excellent looks exactly the same as new as well. Very good may have like a slight scratch or a dent on the back of the phone or something like that. And then good will have some signs of use, so a few scratches or some dents somewhere. But what's really nice about it is that for him, he has young kids. He doesn't want one that looks like new, because within a day it's probably not going to anymore.
yeah,
So
it's going
he
to be
can
sticky. It's going to be dropped. It's going to be, yeah.
Exactly, yeah. So he can save even more by going for a good or very good option as opposed to an excellent. So that's something that's really nice as well, that we can hit the different price points depending on what you want or who you're buying for.
Yeah. So just you kind of mentioned the grading system. So like when a product comes into you guys, like what's the kind of process from when someone hands you over like their laptop or a bike and bring? I assume is it different by the product, or is it kind of like an overarching? We have to hit these criteria. How does that kind of grading process work?
Yeah, so there it is individual to products to an extent, but the standards are very set, even across the different devices. So, like I mentioned, the excellent, it needs to look like new. The very good, maybe very slight sign of use, and the good then would be, yeah, it's visibly used, but it still has to be reaching a high level.
Yeah.
With regards to the criteria and how we do it, the way we operate and the way we have such a huge portfolio of products, is that we actually have refurbishers all across Europe who specialize in particular devices.
Okay.
And because of that, we can make sure, okay, we know that this refurbisher works specifically on Jeep e-bikes and mountain bikes, so they know how to get that to the like 100% standard.
Sure.
We found before that if you look into trying to get somebody that does all products, or oh, we refurbish everything, then you mightn't be sure on the quality. So it's
Yeah.
really good to make sure you've specialized people.
Makes sense. Be the master rather than the jack of all trades. If you're trying to
Exactly.
bring something up to a certain code, like there's some very interesting, like for anybody who is looking at, trying to buy technology or wants to be a bit more sustainable in their own lives, definitely hop onto the website because there's some mad stats in terms of like what you've done. So, like, since you've been founded, just to rattle off a few of them: 94 billion liters of water saved, 6.6 million trees planted, which is incredible. 885 tons of e-waste saved, and 270,000 tons of CO2 saved. Like, how, what?
Yeah, no, it is pretty amazing. Like the one that always gets me, and depending on the person, everyone has a different thing, but the stuff that gets me is the water, because I just never in my mind would have put water technology together, but people do not realize how much water is used when you are producing an electronic device. It's crazy. But we did this, well, multiple studies now at this point, but we did this study with the Fraunhofer Institute. So it's an independent research institute, and they basically got all of the information for 10,000 devices that we sell on Refurbed, primarily phones, laptops, and tablets. And they got the individual savings of e waste, CO2, and water per device. And then this is how we worked out those calculations. And it's all ISO verified as well. So the stats are legit stats. And
Yeah,
what's really nice about it is that you can see your specific product. So if you look in further, it's a lot of info, but we actually have averages for the phones, laptops, and tablets. I think it's 80% usually of e-waste saved, sometimes up to 90% of water when you're buying the device as well. So it's really nice to be able to buy a product and know this is how much I individually have helped the environment or prevented that damage to the environment by doing this.
that's cool. I really like that because, like, I would have never thought. I never in my life would have thought about the water side anyway. Like when I picture like tech waste, like there's a recycling center down the road. They're lovely people, but there's a huge pile of like monitors and desktop towers, and I always kind of wonder, it's like, what are you doing with them? Is it just a pile of tech now that's in it, just out in the rain? There's nothing going to happen of it. It's great you've brought it to a recycling center, but it's still now just e-waste. Like,
Yeah, well, Ireland, we're behind,
yeah,
far behind, but we're getting there. So our Ireland's goal of e-waste recycling is 60%. That's like the agreed EU goal for the country. But right now we're at about 40%. So we're 20 percentage points behind where we need to be at. So we really do need to improve that. But we can see or at least I can see from the refurb side of things that more and more people are turning to refurbish tech and the circular economy in that way. So I do think we'll get there slowly but surely.
yeah.
Hopefully faster. Let's
Yeah,
hope.
how just on that, like, what did those pretend I know nothing about this? What are these percentage points, and kind of what are these markers that we're looking, as a country, we're looking to achieve in terms of this environmental sustainability, and how does the circular economy, I guess, help support that?
Yeah, no, that's a great question as well. So I suppose that, so as I mentioned, it's a 60% e-waste recycling is what we're looking for as a country right now. But a staggering stat that I saw, I think I spotted it like last year and I was looking into things, is that we have the same amount of unused old phones in our drawers in Ireland as we do people on the island. So we have over 5 million phones that just aren't used in drawers, which is, it's absolutely crazy. And the thing is, these are products that if they're left there long enough, they're going to become e-waste, because I know for myself, even when I was younger and we didn't think about these things, you could have a phone in the drawer for like 8 years before you even think to do anything, and then you can't sell it, you can't do anything with it. Some people will just throw that out. Some people thankfully will, recycle it responsibly. But if people are learning more about the circular economy and they're realizing, hey, I have a phone, realistically, am I going to use it again? No. What can I do? I can gift it to a family member. I can sell it and actually
Mm,
make money out of it. I can get it refurbished, or do these other things just to keep it alive and keep it living.
yeah.
Will very quickly get towards that 60%, and people, for the cost of living crisis, will be able to claim some money back on something they're no longer using. So it's a win-win, really.
Yeah, I like that. Like, I remember I had a drawer back in the day. Jesus, I still remember it. Like, we'll call it like the Nokia graveyard, where it was like every phone had its own mad chargers. You had the Sagums, you had the Sonys, you had the Motorola's, the Sharps. All of them had their own chargers, and there was just this drawer of absolute destruction that But you turn on some of them phones and they'd still operate after like 8 years. And I think I ended up giving them all to like the Jack and Jill Foundation because at that time, options like yourselves wouldn't have actually existed. Um, but obviously, that's really cool. And just because my mother gets a shout out in every single podcast, like she has a new phone still in a box in a drawer because she's happy with her old phone. But it was like the idea of getting down her contract. So when I heard that, I was like, cop on, you could have just got a SIM only contract and kept your phone. But yeah, she's happy. So what are you going to know about it? But a good question I'd kind of want to ask would be about the circular economy. Just for anybody who doesn't know, what is that?
Yeah. So the circular economy is basically, in like a nutshell, it's giving a product a second life. So there's very many different ways you can do it. One very easy way is just shopping in a charity shop for your clothes. That's circular. Basically, something was made, you like my jumper. I don't want it anymore. What happened before? People might throw it out. Now you give it to a charity shop. Someone else buys it. It's a circle. It's continuing. The same is with tech. So, with regards to device, people used to throw them out, used to leave them in drawers. Now you can sell it on, you can gift it. You're just giving a device or giving something a second life.
Hmm.
You do have, of course, like the second hand, which is what we mentioned earlier. That's a bit different when it comes to it's the same kind of life, but it's just being used by different people. For the true circular economy, with regards to refurbishment, it's when something's kind of brought back to its original state and put back into the cycle. So that would be a simple way enough
Yeah.
way to describe it. I think if you go too in depth, minds can
Yeah,
get
it gets
confused.
confusing. Like the clothes analogy is really good because you've obviously seen websites like I think Jesus like Depop and stuff come up where people can essentially buy and sell their clothes. You might guess that that's not really my style. I just live in football jerseys. But
How bad?
that's my thing. Where I wanted to ask, I suppose, is the planting a tree. So how does that work? What's your system with this? Because I'm really liking the amount of companies now that are making this part of their mission because if we're trying to become carbon neutral, we need to increase oxygen rather than just reduce carbon. So, how does that look for you guys?
Yeah, again, really good question. So it changed this year. So I can kind of talk about pre and post change, but before change, we used to plant a tree for every device that was sold. So we would naturally save, water, CO2, and e-waste via the purchase of a refurbished device. And then we wanted to go the next step and we planted a tree for every device that was sold. Since February, we've changed that. So we still plant trees in Ireland, and we give all of our customers the option to plant a native Irish tree for free. So it's nice. Yeah, I like the fact that it's a native tree. We're reforesting Ireland. But outside of that, we've diversified our initiatives. So we've gone from just planting trees to now we do active additional e-waste recycling. So we support projects in countries such as Ghana, with third world countries, or
Oh wow.
um, you know growing countries where there is a lot of e-waste that is just chucked there. What happens a lot is actually European countries ship their e-waste off to countries such as Ghana and just leave it there. So we're investing in projects there where that's actually recycled. It creates local work, so it creates employment, but then also gets that e-waste recycled. Also, we do carbon removal. So there's biochar and other natural resources that soak in carbon. So we're investing in projects to increase those to get more carbon out of the atmosphere, and then landscape restoration as well. So again, in different countries, Ethiopia, I believe we do landscape restoration, and some other countries to just help the landscape there. So now we have the four pillars, but the fourth is the local Irish tree planting.
I love that. I really do. I mean, there's part of me that wants to just go somewhere in Athlone and go find my tree and be like, "That's my tree." But like, even as you said, like, I would never have known that there was like, I assume it's the big countries, but countries in Europe that just ship their US off. Like, the hell, I didn't know that that was even a thing. Like, is that like a huge problem where just nations like do agreements and just ship off their nonsense?
Yeah, it's kind of like I won't mention countries because I don't want to get myself in trouble. But the some countries essentially, in order to reach targets, in order to say whatever, we had this much e-waste, we now have this much less e-waste, but really it's just shipped off to another country and left there. And it's not properly managed. So that was an initiative that we saw. I believe it's Minimize is our partner that we specifically work with, who have the e-waste recycling project in Ghana, where then it's sorted through and it's brought back to be properly recycled,
That's crazy.
and officially done in the correct way.
Yeah. I never like that's just something that blows my mind. That's like that it's typical governmental thing of look here, not here, we're shipping it away here. We're doing so much work. No, you're not. You're just putting it somewhere else.
Yes.
That's very frustrating because it's not fixing the problem, it's just moving it somewhere else. And like it's a problem. Like e-waste is actually a huge problem, and I think because the climate change conversation has gone a bit quiet recently, I've definitely noticed over the last 2 years it's gone a little bit quieter. Maybe that's because Twitter is such a cesspit of misinformation that it's like climate change isn't real. It's like, lads, look outside your window. It's
Mhm.
obvious. I just
100%.
don't get. I just don't get it. Like, and just even for your own, for yourselves, like it's obvious, that you wouldn't work for a company like this if you weren't interested in the environment or wanted to be sustainable. Just even for yourself, like you know why why is it refurb for you? What do you value about the company that you go, yes, this is.
Yeah, no, that's another great question. For me, I've always loved working for a company with a mission, firstly. So before I worked in Refurbed, I worked in different credit unions in Ireland, and their obviously mission is they're not for profit and that they're to support the local community.
Yeah,
And then for me, when I saw Refurbed, it was like, oh, here is an opportunity to support the global community, or at least the European community,
sure.
when it comes to the environmental impact. And then outside of that, the fact that you do have the financial benefit as well, it really is a win-win for people. And it was like, oh, why wouldn't I want to support, something like this and make it become the norm? Because it really, like, I'm even looking at my phone case out of the corner of my eye here, but this is like, I don't know if you'll be able to see it now, but this is a sustainable phone case. It's made from flaxseed, I believe. It's compostable. We sell them on Refurb, and I'm like, it's so nice. Why would I buy something that is made of plastic and that's really bad for the environment and that's whatever, when I can buy these things that, generally speaking, on refurb are cheaper than new, and they're making a positive impact to the environment.
Yeah,
So when I saw that, I was like, okay, I need to work here and I need to kind of help spread the mission if I can.
yeah, no, that's really cool. If you just want to throw up the phone case again, because that caught my attention. So that's beautiful, and
It's nice, isn't it?
yeah, that's gorgeous. I really like that. So you can actually buy them off your website, and as you said, that's a sustainable phone cover. So like I've always had the likes of OtterBoxes or kind of the Gorilla Glass cases or any of those kind of fake chunky brands. Now at the moment I'm riding solo, which is probably the most terrifying experience of my
Dangerous.
life, most terrifying experience of my life. But it's clear that there's actually products out there that people do, like. I didn't know about that. I feel like I should have.
No, absolutely. And I mean, ultimately, it's better to have an otter box than it is to not have a case. Like, they're really, they're strong, they're sturdy. Protect your phone. That's first and foremost. So
Sure.
that it is good to do that. But outside of that, there are these more sustainable alternatives, and there are different versions to just make an easy step. And that, again, I'll stop talking about it now, but one of the things that always blows my mind is like, it's also cheaper. Like,
But
so why
this is a
why
point. This is a point that needs to be. Joe, I don't want you to stop talking about that. That's a point that needs to be driven home. I'm looking on the site here, and what you've got there, just straight off the top, is the Hold It sustainable phone cases. They're 18.99.
Yep.
Like, so it's not only that it's better for the environment. Even like if I'm just going to like rattle through a couple of products on the site, the obvious ones, because people like iPhones. So let's just click on an iPhone, and we've got an iPhone 13, 430 quid. Like,
Yeah. No, the value is absolutely great. And like you said, there's so many SIM only contracts around Ireland and stuff like that for your network now as well. So I'm like, get a like we partner with 48
mm,
.ie, they're a SIM only network provider. And like, really good value network. Why wouldn't you, choose that once you're happy, of course, and everything, and then get a more sustainable phone and save yourself so much money in the long run? It just makes a lot of sense, I think.
Like I remember, Jesus, this again might show my age, but I remember back in my car phone days, I ran those numbers before, and it was so you obviously have 48 there, an MVNO of three. You have Goma, which is an MVNO of Air. You've got Unpust, which I think is a Vodafone MVNO nowadays. But anyway, they're all in and around the 10 to 15 euro mark. So when you actually run the math to go and right, I'm going to pay 60 euro for my contract. I'm going to spend 250 euro upfront for the phone plus then my contract of that price over 24 months. Generally speaking, it works out really goddamn expensive. Whereas if you were to go, right, I'm buying this refurb phone, I'm going to use my S22 Ultra as an example because it's just a gorgeous phone. That's 470 euro on your site. And then a bill of a tenner a month, or let's say the high end 15 euro a month. You're probably saving yourself over the course of 2 years around 1200 to 1500 euro, which is
Crazy.
huge.
Yeah, no,
It's
it's absolutely crazy. And when you think, if you're a parent, like I'm not, but if you're a parent and you're getting phones for your kids and your partner and yourself, and then you amplify that, maybe there's three or four of you in the house that have a phone and you're paying for it. That is huge. That's like a few family holidays. So
yeah.
you think about it that
It
way.
is. It is. It's like because I think the average kind of contract in Ireland now is around the 55 euro mark. That seems to be the kind of sweet spot. You've got the entry package, which is around 35-40. You've got your mid tier, which is 55-60, and your top tier, which is kind of 70 to 90. So if we were to use that baseline of the middle, like you're reducing your monthly output by 40 euro a month straight away. You're not then paying for a phone in installments over time. Like yeah, sure, you can do Klarna Pay and things like that, even if you wanted to subsidize the cost over time. But 1,500 euro on average over the course of 2 years just makes mathematical sense. And if you're doing good for the environment at the same time, for me, that's just like an added benefit. It's like, you know, great, save your money, but then also have that little, piece of value for yourself and go, I'm actually doing good at the same time. It's like, so
Absolutely. We see that with our customers as well. So we definitely have a cohort of customers who are like, I want to be sustainable. I'm going to refurb. But we do have a lot of customers who, first and foremost, are like, all right, I want to save money. How can I buy something that's cheaper but good quality? They come to refurbed, and then they actually learn more about our sustainability after they purchase, because we'll send an email to let them know what they've saved, or we'll kind of say thank you for investing in the circular economy, here's some initiatives you've helped. And then it's almost like a welcome surprise, and they love the fact that, oh my god, I did something sustainable too. And then they come back more and more because they realize that it's a full I don't know, a full circle for them to do something good and to
yeah, and
save.
even that word of mouth knock on effect. It's like, I definitely find there's people like that. Like we're all going to do it. It's that little boastful moment of going, well, I planted a tree today. What the hell did you do?
Absolutely. Planted a tree from the comfort of my couch. Like,
Yeah, that's
how
it.
bad?
I got a new phone. Did some good on the way. What did you do? And then that word of mouth spreads. And I think you have like the more I go through the site, the more like information there is, and it's like you're on to like this just seems obvious to me that like sustainability, like we all know the environment is screwed. So
Currently, yes. I would like to be more positive and be like, no,
uh,
it's good, we're good. But no, currently there's a lot for us to do. And like you said, we've seen it. The people say, oh, climate change isn't real, or oh, it's fear mongering. I mean, have we seen all of the forest fires in Europe over the last decade that weren't there before? I think that in itself, you don't need to look at anything else. Even in Ireland, like a lot of people think climate change means global warming. It doesn't. We had the busy, I think it was the highest July rainfall we've ever had in history last year. Wouldn't be surprised if this year matches it based on how June was at the end of it. So
it's not looking good out there. I'm not gonna lie.
exactly. And it's like these are changes. I don't remember July being super, super, super wet when I was younger, and last year was mental. So we do need to pull together and try and claw it back where we
It's
can.
that's crazy. Like I was in Portugal about this time last year, and there was a forest fire where I was, and like you had the helicopters flying over, dropping water, and something else probably sent. I probably should have asked more questions. Essentially, it was just like there was almost like this understood mindset of just go down. Everybody that's in this area, just go down to the beach and let the services deal with what. It's almost it became normalized. It was like, oh yeah, it's that time of year. It's probably a thing. Stroll down to the beach there. I just sat at the beach and had a couple of beers, and it was like, cool. I'll be told when I can go home.
Yeah. It's crazy. What else are you going to do in that situation? Of course, but it is crazy that that has become a normalized situation. Like it really is worrying, terrifying, really.
And then people are like, oh, it's not real. It's like, maybe look beyond your little bubble once in a while and actually see what's happening in the world. And don't believe Twitter. I
Couldn't say it better myself. Yeah.
honestly, if you were to listen to the whole series of this, I think I have a little vendetta against that platform in recent times.
There is a lot of fear mongering on it. I think we all know that,
Yeah,
definitely.
we do. Like, just even other questions for yourselves. It's like, obviously, this is the mission we're on. This is the path we're on. What does, we'll say, the next year look for refurb? What's the goal? What are we trying to do over the next 12 months to, suppose, inform Ireland of being more sustainable?
Yeah, so I suppose what we're really trying to do is continue to expand our product offering, firstly, bless you. But continue to expand our product offering. A year and a half, 2 years ago, we didn't have gaming consoles, we didn't have kitchen appliances, we didn't have e-bikes. So really try to get more and more out there, and also just to get people to spread the message. I think you actually touched on a point earlier where you said, why would I'm after, what did you do today? I bought a more sustainable phone and I planted a tree. We want people, and more people, to be proud of getting
Mm,
a refurb device. We think that some people still have that thought in their head of like, oh, like gifting for Christmas or something like that. Will somebody love getting a refurb device, or does that make me look a bit cheap if I gave them a refurb device? And it's like, no, trust me. If you say to someone, I got you something that works exactly like new, like, and it was more sustainable, I think people are going to be very happy. So
yeah.
it's to educate people on the positives and how this movement has grown so much. I think it was only no, it wasn't that recent. It was a few months ago, but a few months ago we reached over 100,000 customers in Ireland, and over 100,000 people, we haven't been here that long, have already purchased a refurb device directly from Refurbed.
Mm.
The movement is growing. People are loving being part of the circular
I'm
economy and
right.
the sustainability, and we just kind of want to shout more about it and have more people join the
This is
community.
it. Go on to Refurbed, buy a pre-loved phone, buy a pre-loved kitchen appliance, buy the bicycle, buy the lap. Like, we can clearly see my camera quality is absolutely nonsense, so I'm in the market for a new lap. Guess what I'm going to be doing in the near future? Like, it's obvious. And then, like, the power of social media is there. So, like, I'd be saying to anybody who does buy products from the likes of yourselves or even any of the brands out there that are part of this mission, put it on your social media and go, this is what I got, this is the quality of what I got. Like, there, that ideology of it's someone else's trash is frankly nonsense. So I think it's up to people. Obviously we're having this conversation and going to put that message out there, but I'd love if people who do purchase, use their own kind of voice on social media or even with their friends and family and go, eh, do the thing.
Yep.
It's not someone else's trash. I mean, it makes sense. It just makes sense.
It
Like,
does. It does. We are seeing that though as well. So I'm very happy. Like when we look at our own customer base and we talk to them, and we have seen that I believe it's over 2/3 of our monthly purchases, maybe even higher at this stage, are coming from either return purchases or somebody who is referred by a family and or a friend member. So we are seeing that like a huge cohort of the people who buy every month are people who either had a great experience or have told someone else to buy because of their great experience, which is really, really nice to see.
yeah, and like, you have a very very nice blog section on the website, and it gives a lot of really good information. There's things like the ultimate guide to to buying a refurb laptop and what to look out for. So you're actually, it's not just about the. I think, I like companies like yourselves because it's not just about the hard sell, 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 sell. It's the education of here's what to look out for, here's what you should know. I mean, I assume that's part of the company message is to educate and not just
Absolutely. So first and foremost, thanks very much because I've written a lot of those blogs. But outside of that, with regards to the education, 100%. Like I mentioned, we do have the 30-day free trial,
mm,
and the reason we have that is this is kind of a niche example, but if I'm an Apple user, I do have an iPhone. That's the phone I use. But if I decide, oh, maybe I want a Samsung, I don't know, do I like Samsung? I've never really used them. I can actually order a Samsung from Refurbed. I can test it out and see if I like using it. Even it's going to work perfectly, but even if I decide no, I prefer Apple, I can return the device within that 30-day window. And the whole kind of premise behind it is our mission is to stop waste. So why would we want you to buy something that you're not going to like? We want to make sure that you buy something you're going to use, and that's why we want to educate on it.
like this. Ugh. It's like, I don't know. This is just so logical. It doesn't. It actually hurts my head at times. It's almost like, why is this not more of a thing? It's oh god. Like yeah, I don't even know what to ask. I'm a bit flabbergasted. I'm learning so much. I'm learning so much today. Like even your Trustpilot reviews. There's over 100,000 Trustpilot reviews. There's like you're in almost what 4.6 stars or something like that. Like the it's not crap. You're selling high
Yes.
quality products, high quality goods. Just out of curiosity, is it predominantly Apple products that we see, or are we seeing that kind of variance? Because I'm very interested in what like the e-bikes and like gaming consoles and stuff like that, and how is that kind of a market that's growing, or is it still very much leaning more in towards the phones?
Yeah, so to full transparency, phones are definitely the first thing people think of because I think it's what we're as consumers and as people we're more used to refurbished tech being a phone or
Yeah.
that's not as alien a concept. But outside of that, we really are seeing the other areas grow as well. So for example, last year during the gifting season, so like Q4, like Green Friday. We don't do Black Friday. We do Green Friday,
Ooh,
but
Green Friday. I like
yes.
that.
So like Green Friday, Christmas, and those areas, you do see a lot of purchases for gaming consoles. Also, when we see the kind of spring summer, we do have higher demand for e-bikes, and we have people looking into different bikes. And also, right now, we're seeing a lot of people very interested in smartwatches and AirPods because everyone is maybe not in the rain, so they're not actually doing it, but everyone's planning on going out to do their runs. So we see a lot of interest there. So there is a lot of natural seasonality, but what we are really happy to see is that when we kind of first launched, it was phones, laptops, tablets kind of added in there,
Mm,
but phones were the main ones. Now we're seeing like every month more and more people are getting bikes, getting watches, getting
mm,
consoles, getting kitchen appliances. So our we're taking it as a positive sign that people are becoming
mm.
more educated and more open to different types of electronics being refurbished.
That's amazing. Yeah, the one that I think the only one that's actually alien to me is the kitchenware. I've never heard of it before, but I think it's actually a fantastic idea. And it just goes to show that if you have an electronic device at home that you're not using or that you're planning on upgrading, there is a possibility that it has an extra life. So go look up what you can do with it rather than just throwing it into the bin or bringing it to the local recycling center because you know the recycling centers are great for cardboard, plastics, and things like that. But when it comes to e-waste, they inevitably just get piled up and dumped somewhere else, which is just a shame.
Yeah, no, definitely, and we're all guilty of having some products in our house that we are is in a drawer somewhere that we don't use. So do a check, see what you
I'm gonna
can.
hide that part of my wall there up in the top corner. There we go.
Oh,
the, the,
absolutely.
the toy shelf.
No, but it's all good. We all have things, and it's just to check and see if it can get an extra life. If you do have an electronic device that is that a bit older and you want to recycle it, I would recommend checking out We Ireland. It's WEEE Ireland. They are Ireland's official electronic recycling company, and they have connections with a lot of stores. I think they're in like well over 1,000 locations around Ireland where you can just go in and drop off your device and it goes through them. And so they're a good one. I don't know if they accept big things like fridges and stuff like that, check out their site just to see. But definitely for laptops, tablets, something small, if you have something that you're like, no, I'm not really going to use this, I don't want to sell it on, I don't want to do whatever,
Mhm.
check them out and they'll do it responsibly.
Awesome. I mean, I don't think I have many questions left, but the big one. I have one big one to ask, and then I'll let you go.
Scared.
Yeah, you should, no, it's not that bad. I suppose, where do we see the future of the refurb movement of the circular economy? Like, what do you think is the future of this, and how do you think we get it to a point where this is more normalized? Because I still think to a lot of people it's an alien concept.
Absolutely fair. So big picture, where we want to be
Oh,
is essentially yeah, boom. Essentially refurbed. We would love to become the Amazon of Europe for refurbished technology. So we want people to think, oh, I want to get a phone, I want to get a laptop, I want to get whatever. I want it refurbished. Refurb is the first thing when we want to be European wide. So that's why we recently launched the four new markets, like I mentioned. Really big milestone for us to now be in over 10 countries across Europe,
mm,
considering the company's only 7 years old. So it's going super well. We've expanded so much already. But what we want is we want people to think of any electronic device and know, oh, I can get that on refurbed. And that will be their port of call. Then the circular economy will be the first step that they would think of.
I love that. Yeah, that's the message. Basically, go out and buy refurbed technology. It exists. It's there. It's good quality. Not everybody is tech nerd like me that needs to have the latest. I mean, I know my brother. He breaks about 3 phones a year. Stop buying new stuff and go do something good at the same time. Save yourself some money. Like, price, 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 price. Even if you don't care about sustainability, price. You know,
Absolutely, yeah.
at the end of the day, some people don't care. That's fine, but money in your pocket. So
Exactly. It's so different because people do think sustainability is usually comes at a premium, and it's like no,
yeah,
not here, not always. If you can be it
yeah.
and save.
So that's actually a very good point. I said I had one last question. I obviously don't. It's things like, as you said, people assume like when you slap an eco tag or sustainable tag on something, it ups the price, and I think that comes from Tesla. To be honest,
Absolutely fair, and so many like false marketing, I suppose, brands of like healthier foods and all of this kind of stuff, where it's like, oh, vegan packaging, let's increase the price by €2.
Mhm.
So people just kind of got that association because there were a lot of companies that did greenwash or that did kind of make these claims just so they can up the price a bit. But luckily, we're seeing that there's a lot more restrictions being put in place, even on an EU level.
Good.
Like recently, the EU Commission are forcing Apple's hand into right to repair. It's slowly but surely moving. Outside of that, they also did the universal charger, which has to be in place, I think, by was it mid 2024, so it should be from now,
Yeah.
where all new electronics can be charged with the USB-C port, which is such an important thing because we had so much useless waste with chargers. So we are seeing bit by bit that the tide is changing and that companies actually can't say they're sustainable if they're not.
Yeah.
So hopefully that will change and people's perception will change as well of the premium.
I love those changes to, because that was something I always said. It's the greenwashing factor. It's the, oh yeah, now with, and then €2 extra, or this idea. And I think a lot of people kind of got almost jarred where it's like, well, actually, the big companies are the ones producing most of the waste, but you're expecting us to clean up your mess. So it's really nice to hear that things like the universal charger are forcing them to be more responsible. And then
Yes.
obviously in turn that brings another dimension then to you guys. So yeah, no, this is really good to say. Is there anything that before I let you go, is there anything that I haven't asked or we haven't touched on today that you think is a message that you want to share about refurb and what you're up to, or have we covered everything?
I genuinely think we've covered pretty much everything. The only thing I would reiterate is if you listen to watch the podcast and you're thinking of a tech device, even if you think, oh, sure, they probably won't have that, check, because surprisingly, I think we have like 20,000 plus products on the website. Check it out, and if we don't have it, feel free to send in a message and say, hey, I'm looking for this type of product. We will very much do our best to try and source it and get it on the site. So always check it out. Also, if you ever have any recommendations, hit us up, because, as I said, we want to become that platform for everyone, and the
Mm.
only way we're going to do that is by listening to everyone and taking that on board. So that
So
would
awesome.
be the
So
last
if
thing.
anybody does want to reach out to you guys, I suppose, where'd they find you?
Yeah, great question. So the website is refurbed.ie. That's refurbed.ie. The same then will be for social media. So we have a Refurbed Ireland Facebook page, refurbed.ie Instagram page, refurbed on TikTok. And then if you do want to send in an email, you can email us at service.refurb.ie. Or if you want to call us, it's 1800 851 212. And we have a customer service line that can take any questions.
Awesome. I love that you just had that phone number even off the top of your head. That's
It's
knowing
ingrained.
things. That's knowing things. Okay, like as Padraig said, like this is a brand that are planning on increasing the volume. They want to actually show the value in refurb. And like I'm looking straight on the website here, and there's like MacBooks for 500 quid. Like you're getting a better price. You're actually doing something good. You're helping the sustainable economy. You're actually doing something sustainable. You're reducing your own carbon footprint. There is no negatives to buying refurbed or pre-loved phones or pre-loved laptops or now kitchen appliances, which is the big learning I'm taking away from today. So, Padraig, it's been absolutely wonderful to have you here. For anybody who wants to reach out to us, we are on literally every single social media platform known to man, including Threads, apart from the other one that I previously mentioned that no longer is going to be mentioned. So it's Goosed_ie, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok is Marty at Goosed. He runs the TikTok and he's absolutely brilliant. So go check out his stuff. Obviously, the website is Goosed.ie, and more importantly, go check out refurbed.ie and go do something good and save some money. So for now, Padraig, thank you so much for your time. I hope you had enjoyed yourself too.
Absolutely loved it. Thanks a million, John. Really,
Not
really
about it.
appreciate it.
And to everybody who's watching, good night, good morning, goodbye, good evening, good day. I don't know, whenever the hell you're listening to it or watching it, have a good one. So talk to you all soon. Bye.
Bye.